Riverside.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome into a brand new episode of the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Codd, this week, and alongside of me, Jake Belts. Jake, welcome back, bud.
How you doing, man? Glad to be back.
Good to have you too. It was kind of quiet last week. It was, I don't really believe it or not, folks. I know that I'd love to talk, but believe it or not, I do not like talking alone. So it's good to have my co-host back. Big announcement before we start tonight, Jake. We've been having a lot of great chatter on this podcast, all that type of stuff, and I believe that you've been on the last couple of weeks. I mean, obviously last week you were away, and making the announcement tonight. I'm looking forward, and I want to, make the announcement that Jake Belts will be my co-host moving forward on this podcast. Jake, like I said, looking forward to it. You bring an interesting dynamic into the picture of things, right? Diesel mechanic, like you said a couple of weeks ago. I'm a data and stat guy. That's what I love. I love to run numbers on a stupid spreadsheet. I know our friends always make fun of me about that, but you bringing in that diesel mechanic side of things, I think it's going to definitely collaborate our show a lot better. I think we have some really fun ideas and some awesome stuff coming up forward for us in the future. But Jake, really excited to have you on board with the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast.
Yeah, looking forward to it. I'm excited.
Yeah. So that was definitely our big show announcement tonight. A couple more show announcements this week. Pocono, dude, we are a couple weeks away now.
Yeah, I know. It's like coming right around the corner. I was like, I gotta get tickets for this
thing. Same. We actually have a friend of ours is actually coming up to the race with us this year, and I was like, he's like, okay, how much is going to be? I'm like, it's usually $95 after tax. I said, well, let me just make sure there wasn't any stupid like upcharge or something like that. Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, when are you getting tickets? And I'm like, well, I'll get them, I don't know, like May 13th or 14th. Yeah, I'm already 2 days late. So eventually I'm going to get around to them. But like I usually do, I usually like to sit in the end. But with that being said, though, at Pocono, yes, we are almost 1 month away. Our Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast tailgate will be taking place on Sunday morning, June 22nd. Come by. Jake and I will be live on air. Don't know the time yet. I'm not going to make any promises yet on that one. But come by and just absolutely tailgate with us. Last year we had a blast with it. I thought it was a great time, even though we had that freaking weird rainstorm. But still had a blast. So Tricky Triangle, man, 1 month away. I am looking forward to it for sure.
Yep.
Next up, Dover, July 20th, Monster Mile, and we will be down there as well. That one we're not doing our BWB tailgate. We one tailgate a year, Jake. I don't really drink that much, and of course these tailgates, I go from like drinking nothing to all of a sudden drinking a whole case of Busch because I'm with my boys. I'm having a good time, listening to loud cars go around in a circle. I don't give a shit. I'll say it. I love it. So, but we are not tailgating. Or we'll tailgate a little bit, but we're not doing a BWB tailgate at Dover. We'll do a live episode. So, looking forward to being back down at the Monster Mile with you.
Yep.
Okay, so with all that being said, if you love what you're hearing from us, one more announcement. I apologize, and we'll actually get started on tonight's topic. And if you love what you're hearing from us, again, follow us on YouTube. Wednesday nights, we do our live stream, 8 o'clock at nights. Looking forward to keeping that rolling forward. Follow us on Facebook, Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. And again, if you miss our live stream, you're more than welcome to follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and feel free to follow us on those streaming platforms as well. We appreciate the love. We appreciate the support. That's why we continue doing what we continue doing, is because we have a great, fun, young audience as well. So, and appreciate a lot of the love. I mean, Jake, I've told you, we have some fans, in different states at this point.
Yeah.
I do credit the tailgates, of course, or the shows on the road, but not just the shows on the road. I mean, people find it's 21st century. People find us, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been good chatter with a lot of people. So again, we appreciate the love and the support. And if you're listening live tonight as well, Blown Engine chat line wide open tonight. I don't think we're going to get a lot of complaints. There was a special driver. I think we're both wearing apparel from that special driver. kind of shut the audience up. But lots on tap tonight. Let's just say that as we transition, a lot of stuff on tap. Even though Kyle Larson completely led 219 laps this weekend, believe it or not, Jake, there was a lot to discuss in that race from Sunday.
There was
a ton. And yes, it did look like the Kyle Larson show for the longest time, but I'm going to tell you, I got that spreadsheet ready to go. I don't necessarily think it was all Kyle Larson that people think. I really don't.
No, I can't argue that.
Yeah, I can't argue. I can't really. Like I said, I mean, and I've heard people complaining on this past weekend. They're like, "Oh, the race was boring," or this and that. And to be honest with you, I thought there was a ton of great racing throughout.
Yeah, there was really good racing.
The only thing I can't stand though is I cannot stand at the end of these races the last couple of weeks though when they get into the first caution, and I get the motto cautions breed cautions, but once the cautions start going, it's like, here we go, here's 6 more yellow flags to get going. Looking forward to this one for sure. So but let's get to the point engine line real quick. We got a chat. Sorry guys, still getting used to that. Linda checks in. She says, NASCAR, let's go Larson. So thank you, Linda, for following in on us. Appreciate it. So before we get into the Kansas discussion, Jake, let's a couple fast headliners courtesy of jski.com this week as we go from Kansas all the way to an all-star race in the North Wilkesboro. A couple of the headliners this week. RFK Racing is going to be hosting an annual fan day featuring drivers, tours, and major sponsorships. So the Fan Fest are starting up. The Coke 600's right around the corner. We were supposed to go this year, which I'm mad at myself on.
I can't wait to get down there.
We have to go. This is kind of a bucket list item, but like I kind of want to go for the whole week, right? Like do the North Wilkesboro, stay the whole week in North Carolina. And then do like the fan tours, the Fan Fest, and all that type of stuff. I mean, so a lot of for the people that are following and listening that do not know what Fan Fest is with these race teams, all these race teams in NASCAR, the week of the All-Star race going into the Coke 600, they open up all their shops and they basically invite all the fans to come out and support it. The biggest problem with the Jake, the race shops are open from 1 to 2. So you actually have to take PTO to go to the Fan Fest and all that. But I definitely would love to absolutely do that one time. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Go the whole week. But again, RFK will be hosting their annual fan day. They announced that they'll be opening on Friday, May 23rd. So if you're in the Charlotte area, that's when RFK will be open. Second headliner courtesy of jski.com. Justin Allgaier to serve as practice and qualifying driver for Kyle Larson at the All-Star race. I'm going to let you talk about that one. Go.
No, I'm excited. I like Justin Allgaier. I'm a big Junior Motorsports fan. I think he's a phenomenal race car driver. I think he's proved it in Xfinity Series. And then he also is going to be the guy to do it for the Coke 600 too, which is pretty cool for Larson. So to have that fill-in driver and stuff like that, I think it was a great pick. I mean, Larson did a race for Junior Motorsports and raced phenomenally for them, put him in victory lane. I think it's awesome that Justin Allgaier is going to be doing it for Hendrick. I think it's the best pick that they could have picked. So,
yeah, I agree with that. I think Allgaier, I know he's been in the Chevrolet stable for a long time. Career Xfinity guy, nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Yeah. But he's got a good rapport with Hendrick Motorsports. He was in the Coke 600 last year, right? Unfortunately, he ended up running the whole race because he got rain shortened. He made it. Kyle Larson didn't make it to Charlotte.
He made
it, but unfortunately, just got on the pit road, and that was pretty much it. But I do like Allgaier. I think Allgaier in really good equipment. He's spot started for Hendrick for multiple races. He did some work with for Kyle Larson, obviously at Charlotte. When Jimmy Johnson had COVID in 2020 at Indy, he did that. So I like it, but it also tells me, if all these plans are being made at North Wilkesboro, we are getting a full weekend at number 5 being at Indy. And man, I am going to tell you this. Jake, I tell all the Formula One fans this one, right? I tell them this. I'm like, Formula One is follow the leader racing. They're not real racers. I'm going to tell you right now, Kyle Larson goes to Indy and absolutely wins, which he can.
Yep.
we will be the most obnoxious people, I think, in America that week. I think we will. I mean, straight up. I'm going to tell you that right now. So,
I mean, if you're a NASCAR, if you're not even a Larson fan, you're just a NASCAR fan, and he goes in an Indy 500 and wins, you got to be happy. Like you can't be upset. You know what I mean?
I totally agree with that. Like, I mean, my God, I mean, but last year, I know we're kind of jumping off topic a little bit, but whatever. Last year, the big complaint with Kyle Larson and within the NASCAR community was Kyle Larson chose Indy over going to this NASCAR's like premier, like a crown jewel. Listen, Kyle Larson running in that race did more for NASCAR than I believe that they think they did, right? Yeah. And I get that NASCAR was mad. Remember the waiver for like 2 weeks? They wouldn't give him the damn playoff waiver. It was like, well, this and that. And it's like, dude, more people tuned in to seeing what Kyle Larson did and watch Kyle Larson specifically the rest of the season because of what he did at Indy. So, but yeah, going back to Allgaier, he's going to be filling in for Kyle Larson during the All-Star race weekend. Larson's probably going to run the race because qualifying for the Indy 500 is going to be on Sunday. So, third headliner this week, Jimmie Johnson. He'll be running a 700 start tribute scheme at Charlotte. I love Jimmie Johnson, but Jake, I'm tired of Jimmie Johnson at this point. I think he's good for the. Yeah, me too.
I mean, the guy did phenomenal stuff for the sport and everything, but what's he gonna finish? Like it's also not even there, but he ain't gonna be a factor in the race.
Nah, he's probably gonna be 25th. So let's call it as is. Fourth headliner this week from jski.com. Kyle Larson completes first day of Indianapolis 500 practice. So we were just talking about Larson. He ended up completing the first day of Indy 500 practice. That's going to be a 2-week, basically a 2-week spectacle going into the 500. Weather shortened, and basically the article described it was a dust the rust off kind of opening day for Larson. So, oh man, I'm so excited for this.
I'm excited, man.
I'm so excited. Finally, final headliner of the week. Overplay is going to be sponsoring Todd Gillen at the All-Star race and the Coke 600 on the next couple weeks. So that's pretty much all the fast headliners this week, courtesy of jski.com. So, yeah, like I said, sorry if you're not a Kyle Larson fan, you might want to turn off the show at this point because I mean, we forewarned you, Kyle Larson. And someone asked me before, they're like, man, you guys, when I was running solo, when I was with the other co-hosts, and obviously with you, they're like, man, you guys talk about Kyle Larson a lot. There's other drivers in the sport. I'm like, well, there's not a lot of drivers winning races right now. I hate to say it.
There's not a lot of guys doing what he's doing. So how can you not talk about him?
Well, I think the coolest thing about him as a driver, right? The coolest thing about him as a driver is he will also race a dirt race on Monday night. So he'll run on Sundays, he'll run dirt on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then do simulators, and then he'll obviously do his full-time duty. The next couple weeks, as a NASCAR fan, I think is sensational. And I always felt the same way when Kurt Busch did it, when Tony Stewart did it years ago. I love seeing like drivers try to pull the 1,100 miles. I do. I think it's, as someone that has never ever raced a car in my entire life, I'm jealous of these guys.
Oh yeah.
I am super jealous of them because this is absolutely, to me, it's one of the toughest things that you can do to the human body.
Oh yeah.
And the amount of calories that they lose, the amount of, adrenaline that they have. I mean, you watch their heart rates in the cars go up and down and all that type of stuff. And it's like, Jake, 1,100 miles, like, yeah, it's not as easy as like, okay, cool, I'm going to go from Pennsylvania, like where we're at, all the way down to Daytona, Florida. And yeah, I can get out of my car and stop and all that type of stuff. No, you're not stopping. You're full go. And like, listen, the scenery's not great after 30 laps. It's the same exact scenery as it was before. So, but yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing with like Kyle Larson. I think he's doing, last year, I felt like we got shortened, or we definitely got the short end of the stick of that because it rained at Indy, and then the same storm cell came from Indianapolis and went all the way into Charlotte. Also, for all the NASCAR fans that complained about that last year, well, here's the thing. Yeah, you guys were all, oh, that sucks, and Sorry, we got someone on the chat line that is blowing us up and said something funny. But the whole thing is that like that storm cell came in, and like I get that NASCAR was disappointed that he stayed in Indy. You have to understand this, right? In regards to there was a ton of money that came into the sport with Larson doing that.
Yep.
Number one. Hendrick Motorsports, I get HendrickCars.com, I get was the main sponsor on the car at Indy. But the other thing is too is that Jeff Gordon and Rick Hendrick backed him the whole entire time. They stayed in Indy with him to run that race.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm just hoping that we get the 1,100 miles this year. That's all I'm hoping for.
It'd be a dream for me. Yeah, and if you're, as like I said, if you're a NASCAR fan at all, you want to see that. How do you not want to see that?
I agree. I totally agree with you.
No matter who's doing it.
Oh, and that's the whole thing, right? I mean, and going back to, during pre-show discussion, you brought up how you were listening to Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. And this past week, he had Kyle Busch on the show. And what Kyle Busch basically said was, he was going to do the Indy Charlotte double. He had an offer in 2017. M&M's was going to pay for it. Chevrolet was on board. Toyota said, completely cool. We'll back you on this one. What ended up happening? Joe Gibbs stopped him. Then this past time, he went into Chevrolet with Richard Childress. They had a deal in place. But then, obviously, there was a sponsor that ended up stopping it. And obviously, they put Kyle Larson in the wheel or behind the wheel. Let's call it as is. We kind of knew who the sponsor was.
Yeah.
It's probably HendrickCars.com.
Yeah.
So I agree with you, though. I totally agree with what you said in regards to, as a NASCAR fan, I do love when they do the double. I had a good discussion one time with somebody. They're like, it's a damn shame that we'll never get someone behind the wheel for all three of the races on Memorial Day, Monaco, Indy, and Charlotte. Clearly, we know why, because they're not going to be able to run out in Monaco and then fly across the country. So they're halfway across the world, excuse me. So, okay. Did you end up getting a chance to watch the Netflix documentary, Full Speed?
I did not get to watch it yet.
Before we talk about Kansas, briefly go over that one. Pretty impressive. Netflix has done a fantastic job picking it up. I know that they're trying to attract more fans into the sport like they did with Formula One's documentary. Dale Jr. all over it with Dirty Mo Media. Season 1 was fantastic, and obviously the premise of the show is they do the 10 races going throughout the playoffs. I will say, watching the Martinsville episode, I relived that whole day. And I was like, damn, that was a fun time. Yeah. But I didn't get to finish the final episode, but I will say fantastic job once again by Dale Jr. The only thing I was a little disappointed with is some of the coverage of the drivers. I don't think there was enough Larson in the show. I don't think there really wasn't any Chase Elliott in the show. I mean, they just basically said his name. But someone brought it up and confirmed with me that it was because Chase apparently went to Netflix and said, I do not want to be a part of it. So if that's true, I get it. They did a lot of William Byron. They did a lot of Daniel Suarez. And, of course, they did a lot of Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin. Logano and Hamlin, they sell the sport. I don't care what anyone says. Yeah. I can't stand Logano, but Joey Logano he does sell the sport. But definitely get around to it.
No, yeah,
definitely. And anyone listening live, obviously, if you like NASCAR, it's a great documentary. It's a great docu-series. You got to see these guys behind the scenes, and it's like, no, they're just average dudes. They're really just normal people, man. They really are. Okay, let's get into Kansas. Let's get into the Avon Health 400 race weekend. First up, Carson Hocevar ended up winning the truck race on Saturday night. Really good ending between him and Lane Riggs, right? Lane ended up almost getting to him with 1 lap to go. They made contact. Carson Hocevar ended up prevailing, holds off Lane Riggs. Big conversation and controversy. To me, I thought the ending of the race was really good. Big controversy at the end of the race, though. Carson Hocevar drove across the start-finish line with the middle finger out the window. So, a bunch of old NASCAR fans.
I wouldn't put it past them.
A lot of old NASCAR fans are sitting there complaining about it. Oh, he's got one hand out the window and the middle finger went out. How dare them disrespect the sport that Dale ended up building from the ground up? And I'm like, dude, Dale Earnhardt did the same thing. Like, let's knock it off here. His final race before he died, he flipped Kurt Busch off like 10 laps before He ended up wrecking. Like I said, it was job well done by Carson Hocevar. I think he's one of the best truck drivers I think that the sport has seen. He's really talented behind the wheel. And look, I get that it's he's still a very young driver in the Cup. It's translating. A lot of people are like disappointed. They're like, "Oh, he doesn't respect the drivers like they should be respected." It's like none of them did though. None of them did growing up through the ranks, right? Kyle Busch would wreck anybody to go win a race. Tony Stewart was the same way, but it's now all of a sudden Carson Hocevar is doing it to Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney, and what are they doing, Jake? They're all complaining. But again, I am happy to see Carson Hocevar, go out there and kind of be a guy who continues going trophy hunting. Don't let anybody stop you from doing that.
No,
He's a talented driver, and I look forward to obviously seeing his growth hopefully in the Cup. And I do think that a Cup victory may be coming in the near future. I really do, because that 77's had a lot of speed this year.
It has. It has impressed me.
All right, so that was Friday night. Also, by the way, I don't even want to get into this discussion because I'm so sick and tired of disqualifications. Lane Riggs was disqualified after the truck race. I forget what the disqualification was for because I was fed up, and I'm like, here we go again. Wake up the next day from a race, and I get to look at the disqualification report via Twitter to see that the stats actually do not actually meet the rate after the post race. Frustrating, dude.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And people who follow us that are like, oh, you guys, that's cheating and all that. They got caught for cheating. Stop. Like, really? All right. So Sunday we had the Advent Health 400 at Kansas, race number 12 on the Cup Series schedule. Let's get into the final stat line, courtesy of jski.com tonight. Kyle Larson ended up winning this race, followed up by Christopher Bell, who finished second. Ryan Blaney finished third. Chase Briscoe finished fourth. Alex Bowman finished fifth. Josh Berry finished sixth. Ryan Preece finished seventh. Chris Buescher finished eighth. Joey Logano finished ninth. And John Hunter Nemechek finished 10th. That was your top 10. That was your final top 10 from Sunday. Your top 10 in stage one was Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, Austin Cindric, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Ryan Preece, Joey Logano, and Zane Smith. In stage two, we had Kyle Larson again, end up sweeping both stages, followed up by Chase Elliott, Ryan Blaney, Josh Berry, Christopher Bell, Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, Denny Hamlin, Zane Smith, and Ryan Preece. So that was for your top 10s in stage 1 and 2. Laps led chart. Well, Kyle Larson led 7 times for 221 laps in this race. Christopher Bell ended up leading 1 time for 3. Alex Bowman ended up leading 1 time for 2. Joey Logano led 1 time for 1 lap. Chase Elliott ended up leading twice for 29 laps. And then we had Kyle Busch led 1 time for 1 lap. And then as well as Carson Hocevar led 1 time for 4 laps in this race. Let's kick things off on topics from Sunday. I'm actually going to pass the baton over to you, Jake. Let's talk about Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I mean, so my Sunday was a little hectic, so I was hopping around Nashville at bars, having people turn the TV on so I could watch it. So I didn't get to see the full race, but I got to catch good parts of it, walking around Broadway with my phone in my hand, bumping into people. But domination is the only word I can think of. Domination. And I'll go back to that whole Hamlin podcast where he goes, is it really domination? No, did he really dominate that race? 221 laps, when sweeps both first stages and wins the race, I think the only word you can use is dominated. Now, don't get me wrong. He made some good points about cautions at the end. And I don't think that Larson had a long run car that day. I don't. But I think him qualifying in the pole position was another huge factor on why he won that race.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's no doubt about it. When you lead 219 laps, you win both stages, you win the race. Let's cut the shit here. That is a total domination in what happened. I don't disagree with Denny on from actions detrimental. He goes, when he got into the dirty air, he became a pedestrian car. Yep. That's the second week in a row, 100%. It happened to him at Texas. It happened to him at Kansas. Did the cautions bail Kyle Larson out? Sure, but Jake, at the same time, every driver has an opportunity to restart. And who's the best restart? Who's the ranked second in restarts in NASCAR in the Cup Series, courtesy of Auto Racing Analytics? Kyle Larson. The graphic was on the TV.
Yep.
The only time that I will say this, like, I think that the 9 was better in the longer runs. I thought Chase Elliott was better in the long runs, but the problem with Chase Elliott, again, it was his pit crew. We'll get back to that in a second. The other thing too with Larson was, yes, going back to Hamlin, I do agree. He was also wearing that back tire out a lot. He was.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, when the intervals got shorter towards the end of the race, what ended up happening? I think he was just saving his tire so he didn't blow it. We watched a driver earlier in the race blow a tire. Brad Keselowski chasing down the lead.
Yep.
I mean, do we see drivers dominate races like this a lot? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how many wins did Martin Truex Jr. have where he led almost like 400 out of 500 laps? And everyone's like, oh, that was a stinker. Kyle Larson's that good. You're going to have races like this. NASCAR needs races like this, to be honest with you. They need their best driver to put up or shut up and put a performance up like this. I said.
But I mean, Danny Hamlin also made a point saying that he's like, and he wasn't trying, I don't think he was trying to take shade away from Larson and what he did on Sunday, but he also said that how the rest of us were driving led to this.
Yeah.
Nobody was, like, besides Elliott until his pit crew screwed him.
Yep.
Blaney was at 3 more laps, Blaney catches Larson. Christopher Bell catches him. I mean, it's when you only see really 2 or 3 or 4 cars that are like, holy shit, they're up there, they're going, they could get them. When the whole other cars are doing nothing.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with Danny Hamlin on that. Yes, nobody drove good to compete with them.
So, but real quick, going back to like what we were talking about with Kyle Larson saving the right rear, right? We knew throughout the whole entire race that he had right rear tires, and like the issue with the tires because Kyle Larson runs this incredible line when he goes to Kansas. He runs the wall almost every single lap because it picks up the most amount of speed. And believe it or not, it's the fastest line around Kansas. Bell and Blaney probably would have caught him. Yeah. But how much of that was Bell and Blaney actually having a better car, or was it Kyle Larson saving the tires so he can get to the end?
Because listen to Christopher Bell's post-race interview. He was like, he literally said word for word, I was kind of confused on why he was riding that bottom line when up top was working for him all day, and he goes, I guess maybe he really did have a right rear tire problem. That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. And obviously that interval, I guess after the final restart, the interval, I believe, on second place got up to 6 seconds. I believe it got up to 6 seconds.
Yes.
It could be. It might be off by a couple seconds. I don't know. I think it was 6 even at one point. And this is where Cliff Daniels is such an incredible crew chief.
Oh.
Kyle Larson's crew chief, Cliff Daniels, is absolutely an analytical guru. As a guy who loves analytics in the sport, he is my hero with this. And like you said, he had issues running the high line with tire wear and all that type of stuff all throughout the race. Every time they got to intervals where it was like Cliff basically went on the radio and was like, listen, you can run all the way out and then back it off. And I think that's like stage 2. I think that's what ended up happening with Chase Elliott, right? Like Chase Elliott was the fastest car in stage 2. I don't necessarily know if he was the fastest car because Kyle Larson was saving his tires, so he didn't wreck, like something like what happened with Brad in stage 3. But yeah, I mean, it was. I for me thought it was very strategic, and I thought it was it was definitely a strategic move, in my opinion, for Kyle Larson. Now, like you said, I mean, it gave Bell and it gave Blaney at the end of the race possibly an opportunity to go win it. But if the 5 needed to go punch, put the pedal to the metal, he would have been gone. He would have been gone. But I think the only one that could have actually competed with him was Chase Elliott. I really do.
Look at the one part of the race. Larson was ahead by 7 seconds. In the early start, he pulled away. Gone.
Yep. Yeah.
But yeah, Chase Elliott would have won that race if his pit crew did not screw him. We're going to go back to should have won the race. Prime example on Sunday.
Okay, so real quick, before we get to that topic, and we'll explain to our audience why we say that saying all the time. Larson picked up his third win on Sunday at Kansas. Yeah, I mean, also not just did he pick up his third win with William Byron's issues, he ended up taking the points lead as well. So the 5's dangerous, dude. The 5 is dangerous. Yeah, next topic. Let's talk about Chase Elliott here. And
you forgot one stat. Kyle Larson hit his career 10,000th led lap.
That's correct. I did forget that 10,000 career lap led.
Huge accomplishment.
Dude, he's gonna go down. I mean, going back to the Action Sentimental podcast with Hamlin and Kyle Busch, they both even said it. They're like, Kyle Busch had 63 career wins. Hamlin, I believe, is in the high fit. I think he might be 55 or 56. They both even said they're like Larson at this pace is going to pass both of them. If he runs until he's mid 40s, Kyle Larson, folks. If Kyle Larson runs into his mid 40s, he may end up creeping up to probably number 2 on the all-time wins list with the win rate that he's at right now. Oh, I mean, he's winning, like, his average is about, since he's gone to Hendrick Motorsports, about 5 wins a year. I mean, it's insane.
It's crazy.
But let's talk about his running mate, Chase Elliott, in the 9. 2 things. One, maybe I should talk shit more on Chase Elliott. I feel like maybe I got underneath his skin by saying Josh Berry's a better driver than him. Magically, I say that, and all of a sudden he's actually out there leading laps and actually being like a legit contender that everyone thinks that he can be, right? So, but the second thing, you said something, a quote, that you should have won the race. So years ago, you, myself, your sister, Lance, your dad was down there.
Yep.
We all went to that Dover race in 2017. It was a playoff race. It was awesome. That was a great time. It was a beautiful day too.
Oh yeah.
And I love Chase Elliott. I know I talk a lot of shit on Chase Elliott, but as a fan, and I know I'm wearing a Larson hat right now, I just like to collect these hats. That's all. But I love Chase Elliott. I think that Chase Elliott's a good driver. And deep down inside, even though I talk a lot of junk, I can because I'm a fan of him, and I'm frustrated with him at this point because it's like, God damn it, you're too good for this. So we're at Dover 2017. It's the playoff race at Dover, and if anyone that's listening to us live knows anything about that race, Chase Elliott ended up getting passed by Kyle Busch with 1 lap to go, or 2 laps to go, excuse me, because Chase Elliott could not get around Ryan Newman, the lap car. So I'm like, the whole entire time I'm seeing Chase Elliott's first win. Like, this is awesome. This is my guy. I can't wait for this race. I can't wait for this moment. Like, this is going to be so exciting. And all of a sudden Kyle Busch passes him. And we walked out of Dover. And I kept screaming, he should have won the race. Chase should have won the damn the whole entire walk to the car. We had how many people? Like, I can't. There was a lot of people that came up to me. It's like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. As soon as he wins, he's gonna win all these races and he's gonna win a championship. Well, he did end up winning a lot of races. He won that championship, but then hasn't really done anything since the next gen car. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about his stats in the next gen in a minute. But yeah, I mean, going back to Sunday's race though, Chase Elliott, to me, his crew completely screwed him. At one point in Chase Elliott's career, the 9 team had one of the best pit crews on pit road. They did. They were always ranked in the top 3. It was like, and even in the next gen car in 2022, he had one of the best pit crews in the sport. Speaking of Lance, he just checked in. He said should have won the race. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But anyways, like on Sunday, he goes down pit road with the lead, and it's like perfect. You see what the 9 can do in clean air. At this point, he's definitely fast. His teammates having issues. Kyle Larson was having issues in the dirty air. Yep. Chase Elliott should be, he should get out of pit road. If he gets the lead, he's going to keep pace. I end up turning my head for 5 seconds because I had to help my wife with something. I turn around, and all of a sudden, the race off pit road. Where's the 9? Nowhere to be found. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, is this? Did he not? I actually literally said, did he not pit? I couldn't remember if he pitted or not. Then all of a sudden they show the instant replay. Yeah, tire changer, right rear issue. Well, what ended up happening in the 9? The 9 ends up getting in the dirty air, ends up finishing this race in 13th. Listen, Chase Elliott right now in this next gen car has absolutely struggled, completely struggled. And I get year 1, he won 5 races, well, technically 4 because that disqualification doesn't really count. Hamlin crossed the start finish line first. I hate that, but it still is credited as a Chase Elliott win. 2020 was at 22, 23. He ends up getting hurt, doesn't win a race. 24 ends up winning Texas pretty much off of luck. It was Larson's race to lose on that one, but then off of luck and strategy, Chase ended up winning that race. But the continuous thing that annoys me is like, you have seen your driver, Alan Gustafson and his crew. You have seen your driver go from a guy who probably would win 3 to 4 races a year to basically you are now on a winless streak once again. You need to be as clean as possible on pit road when your driver has an opportunity to win the race. Mm-hmm. This is now, in my mind, the second race this year in 2025 that Chase Elliott's crew has screwed him and lost him. The first one was Martinsville because they got too conservative and too cute and came down pit road and they gave up the clean air to Denny Hamlin. This race ends up, in Kansas, ends up screwing up on the tire and changing the right rear tire. Ends up coming out pit road in 16th place, ends up climbing himself out of 13th, gets stuck in dirty air. At what point do you have to start blaming this crew and going, we need to do whatever it takes to get this car in the clean air? We know once Chase Elliott gets clean air, he can take off. Yeah. And it's just...
I think, Matt, to be honest with you, on that one restart that Ryan Blaney lined up behind him, I thought they were going to be gone.
Yeah.
The buds, I was like, this is Chase Elliott's race to win. Blaney pushes him out in front and he gets around the 5 car. See ya.
Well, and that's what it comes back down to, right? Like, I mean, once he got the clean air, and like there was that one, I think it was after stage 1, going into stage 2, Larson and Elliott were restarted side by side. Obviously, Chase was not going to be behind Kyle Larson. That's not, if you want to beat the 5, you got to go pass him. You're going to have to. So it was the right move to go on the outside lane above Kyle Larson. Even though Larson had the low line and controlled the race, Chase, to me, that was a smart move because if you end up side drafting him and you get around him, now all of a sudden you force him in the dirty air.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got to do. You got to force the 5 in the dirty air. Unfortunately, though, Larson ended up running probably the greatest 5 laps on the low line that I've ever seen from a driver on that track. And every time Chase Elliott just inched ahead and got ahead of him on the side draft, Kyle Larson ended up coming through and ended up passing him as well. So, but yeah, I mean, was the 5 invincible on Sunday? No, he wasn't. But at the same time, Kyle Larson never put himself in harm's way. And that was the difference between him and the 9. The 9's crew put him in harm's way. Yeah. And it stunk because you took in my opinion, you took a probably not just a race winning car, a 1000% a top 5 car. And you basically put him in you had him finish 13th because he got into the dirty air. That sucks. In order to win a championship, and Chase Elliott, to me, yeah, he's a round of 8 driver. He's going to be a playoff driver. There's no doubt about it. He's 4th right now in the points. But at the same time, like, he's not a championship caliber driver. He's not. And I can't even tell you the last time Chase Elliott was a championship caliber driver. Maybe 2022.
I think, like, this year, I mean, he was kind of floating around. I mean, he has top 10 finishes, don't get me wrong. But I personally, and I get it, he's the one driving the car, but his pit crew is absolutely dicking him around. Like, yeah. What do they rank? 21st, I think it said on Sunday, 21st or 19th or something like that? That is horrible. It's the new Kyle Busch. Horrible. I'm surprised this doesn't have tires coming off. Is what I look at it at this point. I'm like, I was literally sitting there on Sunday. I'm like, oh, I obviously want the 5 to win, but this is Elliott's race. He's at the end of that race, he was the better car.
Yeah.
When he got screwed.
Yeah. He did. And, so the other problem with Chase Elliott as well is we watched Kyle Larson win the pole for Sunday's race on Saturday. Larson wins the pole, ends up going into the race, pretty much dominates, clean air pretty much throughout the whole entire race. Had some few lucky spots and all that type of stuff. But my question to you and my question to the audience tonight is going to be this. Can you lose a race on Saturday? Can you lose a race on Saturday? Even though we run on Sundays, can you lose a race on Saturday? That's when we practice and that's when we qualify on Saturdays. Can you lose a race on Saturday? And the answer is yes.
Oh, yeah.
The answer is yes. And so my crazy mind did this activity, Jake, this past weekend. I got so fed up from this race. I said, screw it. I want to see courtesy, and I want to say thank you so much to the folks over at driveraverages.com. First of all, you guys made my life a lot easier with collecting a lot of this data because I'm not going to lie, I didn't write down every single, start finish like for every driver. I just went to driveraverages.com, picked them all up, and then did all the calculations myself with the total averages and all that type of stuff. So going back to Chase Elliott, since this next gen car, and again, these stats courtesy, actually a hybrid courtesy of driveraverages.com and Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. In the next generation car, Chase Elliott's average start position is 13.72. He is currently ranked 8th in the series. His average finish is ranked 1st since the next gen car with a 12.25 average finish amongst all active drivers. Okay. Yes, Chase Elliott's average finish is a 12.25 and it's the best in the sport. But the problem is when you are the 8th ranked driver on starting position, that is very difficult to gain that many spots. His plus minus and net gain loss on positions since 2022 has been 1.47 positions. So if you take his average start, and divide it by his average, minus his average finish, obviously he was in a positive territory, but it's only really, he's only passing at the end of the day a car and a half.
Yeah.
So when you start 13th, like that doesn't really do it.
12th.
Yeah. And that's where, and again, when everyone's going, well, Chase Elliott's so consistent with his top 10s and all that type of stuff. Well, no shit. Yeah. He's finishing bottom top 10, 8th, 9th, 10th. There's your net gain right there. Number 1 on the list for average start in the next-gen car, Kyle Larson, 9.75. He's ranked number 4 in average finish with a 12.85. But when you have an average start, when you have the highest average start in the next-gen car, it's very easy to go play records or checkers because at that point you probably have won a race because at one point you've gotten probably multiple poles.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, the question is, can they end up, can you lose a race from qualifying poorly? Absolutely. Here's another interesting one. In the next-gen car, Ross Chastain's average start position in the next-gen car is a 17.4. His average finish in the next-gen car is a 14.27. His net gain is a 3.13. And again, it goes back to the aggressiveness of Ross Chastain. Mm-hmm. If you want to win a race in this sport, you got to be aggressive. Yep. You just have to. Another fun stat real quick while I was doing these rankings. 2024, the rankings for 2024 with average start, average finish. Real interesting one. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., his average start, right now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is in the playoffs. His average start in 2024 or 2025 to date is at a 27.3. That is horrible. But right now, he's in the playoff picture. And why is that? Because Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this year, his average finish is a 17.3. He gains plus 10 positions each race.
He's probably one of the most aggressive drivers I watched, but he's clean. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's had some shit, but he's clean, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he races hard and he races aggressive.
Yeah. Well, that's what, going back to your aggressive, the aggressive style of driving. Number 2 on net gain and loss plus, of positions in 2025. Ross Chastain right now is number 2 behind Ricky at a 9.9 for net gain on positions. 9.9. He's passing almost 10 cars. He's finishing 10 spots better every race. That's insane. Chastain's average start is a 23.8, and his average finish is a 13.9.
That's really good.
But you go back to, like you were saying, Jake, with like Stenhouse being aggressive. Yeah, same thing with Chastain. Those cars, I mean, unfortunately, when you don't qualify well, you need to be aggressive. So it stinks because, like, when I look at with like Chase Elliott and all that type of stuff, like, for me, he's too conservative.
Oh, yeah.
Enough is enough. And his crew, he's too conservative. And his crew, at this point, you need to qualify better. Because if you do not, you are not going to beat your teammate, Kyle Larson. And hell, you're not even going to beat William Byron at this point. You're not.
Yeah. I mean, it's frustrating as shit to see it, but it's clear as day when you watch it. Like, dude, he had multiple opportunities to get around Larson when he started above him. And it's that conservative. Like, is he scared? Like, does he not want to be the guy that wrecks his own teammate? Like, I mean, you're a good enough racer to get around him without touching him. And I don't know. When I was watching, I was like, to me, I just felt like he lifted, like was like scared or something. I don't know. I could be completely wrong, but
when he got in that dirt, you know what's weird? When he got in that dirty air. That's what it was. When he got in that dirty air, he was so shy to take the high line because he was so afraid everyone was going to wreck.
Yes.
Granted, and I get it. The restarts at Kansas are absolutely sensational and immaculate. They are the craziest restarts you can think of because you're going 4 wide around the turn. Turn 1 and 2, you're 4 to 5 wide, and you're just beating and banging. But yeah, I mean, he got nervous. It looked like he got nervous because then I look at a guy like Josh Berry. Josh Berry ended up having issues on pit road. Josh Berry's been very quick, by the way, folks. He has been very good this season in 2025 to start. He's got the 1 win. Granted, the results aren't there, right? His average finish in 2025 is a 21.2. That's, unfortunately, it's just not going to get it done. It's not going to get it done, but he does have the win, so he can get into the playoffs and work on that as well. But every time I watch Josh Berry, I said it last week on the show, last week at Texas, he was leading that race and by a large margin too. Ends up hitting the bump in turns 3 and 4, ends up spinning out with the lead. In wrecks. That's been Josh Berry's story. And then this past weekend, right, we're at Kansas. All of a sudden he's got pit road issues. Starts 38th, ends up having pit road issues. He ends up finishing in the top 10. Yeah. That 21 has had speed. And it's like you watch Chase Elliott, who got nervous in the dirty air. And then I look at a guy like Josh Berry. Now, granted, maybe that's the difference between winning a race and you're already locked into the playoffs compared to Chase Elliott, where it's like, we're not going to get the win. Let's, be conservative and let's just have a good points day. But unfortunately, with that philosophy, you're not going to be a championship caliber team. You're just not. You'll be around the 12th and you'll be out.
Yeah, first round exit.
So, Jake, I want to talk about my heartthrobber, Brad Keselowski. Everyone who's been tuning in this whole season, I am pro RFK racing, and I love what Brad.
His career, 2 weeks ago? Like, it's done.
Yeah. No.
Then I watched the race this week. I'm like, man, I guarantee Matt's kicking himself in the ass right now because I totally am.
Well, you know what, Jake? I said the same thing. I said the same thing with Chase Elliott, that Josh Berry's a better driver than him, and all of a sudden Chase Elliott was leading the race. I said Brad's career is basically over. All of a sudden he was going for the race. What a heartbreaker now. What a heartbreaker. He was chasing Chase Elliott down. Well, tongue twister there. Sorry, folks. He was hunting Chase Elliott down. He got Chase Elliott's lead to 0.91 tenths of a second interval. All of a sudden, ends up blowing a tire. Oh my God, it was a heartbreak. I'm like, dude, like this guy, all Brad needed to do was just get a top 10 or even the win and just go get momentum back. The 6th car has been completely dead this year. And in regards to being dead, I mean, right now, Brad, his average start in 2025 is 24.9. His average finish is 27.2 with 5 DNFs this year. 0 top 5s, 0 top 10s. What is going on with Brad Keselowski? I mean, it's honestly a joke at this point. Like, the dude is not even this guy can't even buy.
I just been watching a guy just drive around a track and just I'm having fun.
The other thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
And that's what sucks because it's like we said enough is probably enough with him. You're just hurting your legacy at this point. And then boom, Kansas. Holy shit, is Brad K back?
I actually was starting to write that in my notes. I'm like, Brad Keselowski, much needed win.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, here the 6 car. Where the hell did you come from?
I know.
And then, like, I was watching on my phone at the time. I just really put my hand on my face and like, this guy can't get a fucking break. Like, when one thing's working for him, we're gonna end you here.
Well, okay, so going back to Brad Rack, what do you think of Fox? What do you think of Fox's broadcast? By the way, FS1 literally has the camera on the 1 and the 6, or the 9 and the 6. They're showing the interval between the 9 and the 6. Brad is in the wall and wrecking, and the tire's blown out, and it took 30 seconds for someone in the booth to go, oh my God, what just happened with Brad? Like, they literally were on a delay. They didn't say a word. And I'm like, what are you guys watching? Like, the camera's on Brad Keselowski literally wrecking. And Clint Bowyer, who can't keep his mouth shut to save his life, didn't say a word for like 30 seconds into that wreck.
I'm going to tell you this right now. This weekend was the most enjoyable to watch because I didn't have to listen to them. Because all they do is talk and talk and talk when a race is going on. And they're talking about shit that's not even going on. And then, boom, a wreck happens, like you said. And 30 seconds, oh, wow, look, Brad Keselowski got a tire down. He's in the wall.
Yeah.
Dude, he's already on pit road, and you're telling me this already happened. Like,
I know.
They do. They get themselves. And Kevin Harvick sometimes doesn't know when to stop talking either, but
at least Harvick.
I like listening to them. I think they're great. I love having guys who were racing the sport do it and talk about it because they know. But just hearing you say that, it doesn't surprise me. Because they're like sitting there, it's like, oh, let's catch up in life. Like how's your kids doing? No, like we're watching a race, dude.
I'll be honest with you. I was just like, thank God, Fox's broadcast is done after this weekend in North Wilkesboro.
Yep.
I am just looking forward to. Well, we go to Amazon Prime starting in Charlotte when we got Adam Alexander, Dale Jr., and Steve Letarte. So
I can't wait.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Because listen, I think Kevin Harvick does a really good job. Clint Bowyer is a dude. Clint Bowyer is no different than me. Jacked up on freaking caffeine. That's all he is, right? I mean, for God's sakes. I mean, all he does is talk and talk, and I don't even know what he's saying. He's like, "Yeah, the hot rod, and I'm gonna go out drinking beer today." I mean, don't get me wrong, like that's totally me on this broadcast right now, you know.
Yep.
And Mike Joy is just—he was great. Mike Joy has been great for such a long time. He's just over. He's over the age at this point. So
I would miss a few of them. Like Jamie Little. I'm gonna miss. I do like her. And just from watching it with my now fiance, she loves that women are involved in it, and she likes seeing that. And she loves when Jamie Little talks. And Jamie Little is freaking knowledgeable and very, very smart, and a great interviewer with drivers. Like makes it personal, like that. I mean, I'm not gonna miss Jamie McMurray. I freaking liked him anyway. But
you're gonna get him more because he's going over to Amazon.
Oh, he is going over?
He's not in the broadcast booth, but he's on the pre-race and all that type of stuff. So I mean, Fox, and we're gonna get to the chat line. We got a ton of chats, Jake. We gotta get to.
Oh damn! I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean that. Fox in general, I am excited for Amazon Prime. And I do think that anytime Dale Jr. is involved, we know that he's one of the best broadcasters in the sport. He really is.
Oh yeah.
A couple chats coming in. Let's get to Lance, he checks in. He goes, should have won the race. Yeah, you were there for that. Ryan checked in. He said, first live broadcast. Actually not. I did upload us on Facebook this week though. So I think a lot of people, this is the first time that you're listening to us. If you're listening to us live, we are on Facebook, by the way. I forgot to tell you that. Sorry. We got a bigger audience. Brandon checks in. He says, Team Blaney, Ryan Blaney guy. But then he goes, "What do you guys think of the 8 car lately with Kyle Busch?" That's a good question. What do we think about him?
I mean, he showed that he was pushing on Sunday. He was
Yeah.
I'm watching it and I'm sitting next to her and I'm like, oh, here he comes, here he comes. And she goes, just keep watching and boom, typical Kyle Busch spin out.
Yeah, I mean,
And she
and
was like, yeah. And it's frustrating because I was actually like, holy shit, I'm rooting for Kyle Busch right now. Like, yeah, my guy's in the league, but I love watching that 8 car come out. I actually was like, I'm not even a fan of this guy. I respect him, but I'm like, it's the same thing I thought with Brad. Is Kyle Busch freaking coming back?
yeah.
And then, not typical Kyle Busch. I'm just going to take myself out of this race.
It's just him. Honestly, Brandon, go back to your question. It's honestly him and the typical 8 car. To be honest with you, I hate to say. I mean, that first year, I was like, oh, and I think a lot of people have started following me from the very beginning. That first year, my first ever episode came off of him winning Fontana. And I called it the Kyle Busch Redemption Tour because I said he's going to basically flip Joe Gibbs Racing off. He's going to do his, to be honest with you, Joe Gibbs, I hate to say it, but Joe Gibbs Racing was right about that. I mean, I love Kyle and I root for Kyle because he's good for the sport, right? But at the same time, it's just another driver that's kind of just going into that career paradigm that's like, damn, he's just not there, you know? But do I blame the equipment or do I blame Kyle? And more so, I blame the equipment more so than Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Lance also checked in as well. He said, "What do you guys think about Kyle Busch's son coming to NASCAR?" Well, Braxton, he's still young. He's coming through the ranks.
Time, but he's impressive.
Yeah, he's good on the dirt.
Didn't he? And Kyle Busch and Kyle went to dirt too. Didn't he race his first dirt race?
Yeah.
Yeah. His kid's starting to twiddle with a bunch of different stuff. It could be like the Kyle Larson in the making or something like that. But we got a ways away to land.
Well, that's the other thing too, and not just with the dirt, but then on top of it, he's just starting the legend cars, I believe, this week. They said on Action Sentimental because of the age. Like I think you got to be 13 to get in the legends, so he'll be in the legends car starting now because of his birthday. But yeah, we got a long time to go before Braxton. I know Kyle basically said he wants to retire at 45 because then Braxton could be in the NASCAR at that point. So. Long way to go for sure on that one. Ronald checks in. He goes, "You guys are great. I'm watching a boring Phillies game with Lance. This podcast is more fun." Thank you, Ronald, for the compliment. Your sister Jess checked in. She said, Hey Jess, hope you're listening to us and enjoying us as well. Whoops. Zoned in a little too hard. Sorry about that. We had Dan ends up checking in as well. He said NASCAR. He said Fox's broadcast is the redheaded stepchild of NASCAR broadcasting. I totally agree with that.
It's the best way to say it. I can't argue that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, that after the whole Brad Keselowski wreck, I was like, dude, what are you guys doing? I mean, you guys have the camera on him, and he's wrecking, and you guys aren't even saying a word about it. So, I guess we got a couple more chats. Sorry, guys. Sorry about the delay. Want to get to everybody. Vince, he checks in. RFK Racing about to break up. Brad leaving and taking one of the 3 charters with him. I'm really interested to hear that theory, conspiracy theory, but I'll call you on another day, Vince. Also, Vince basically brings up how also to fix the car and racing, remove the laser inspector, dumb down the inspection, make it cheaper to cheat. I am serious about that. I totally agree. I think it's
that's a really, really, really good point.
Yeah, most expensive way to race is competitive spec series. The parity is only thanks to fresh car. That is dead. Do not expect any car or team to even be half competitive if it's not JGR, Hendrick, and Penske. So we're going to close out tonight basically from that comment, Jake. This car has been essentially, this next-gen car has essentially been the massive topic of conversation because of a lot of issues within the aerodynamics in the wake and not enough horsepower. Essentially, they basically flipped the 750 and the 550 package into a bigger body frame. You're basically running a sailboat at this point. Yeah. We talked about Chase Elliott and about how much he struggled and all that type of stuff. In your mind, if you were the head of NASCAR, you hear a lot of your fans complaining about how bad this car is. What would be the biggest change you would make to the car?
Well, I mean, first I want to go back to that comment of that what that guy said about naming basically the three best teams in NASCAR. And I get it. Like people, I've heard that a lot. If you are not on one of these prestigious teams, like at the end of the day, it's not because they're the same cars. You know what I mean? Like you've been talking a lot about Josh Berry, Wood Brothers. They want to race this year. Like I will say, like 23 XIs kind of struggle a little bit. I mean, but the bit. It's so hard for me to think about what I would change about this car because there's so much I would change. Like the rear suspension is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah.
The fact that you put a part on a car that one person or actually multiple people a week on a good week break a rear toe link, redesign it. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, like the thing is, man. I don't want to bullshit our audience. I don't know too much about the car. I just know I don't like it. I mean, I don't like the way they look. I'll tell you that. Let's go back to the Monte Carlos, and then we're talking. But I mean, I haven't really studied much more up on the car. I mean, I'm an engines guy. I don't really deal with a bunch of that type of stuff. But I know they say the aerodynamics is different, the way the spoilers are, and it's like you go back to the whole spoiler bullshit with the spacers and the bolts, and like it's just why are we adding so much shit to these cars?
Yeah.
Like I get it. Oh, they were going too fast. We're racing.
Yeah.
We're racing. Why do you put restrictor plates on a car? You put restrictor plates on drag racing? No. Like we're racing. Like, and I get it. They want to be safe and want to make sure the drivers, like if God forbid they wreck or whatever, they're safe. But look at the seat they're in. I'm surprised they can barely breathe. They can't even move. Like their head doesn't even move. But I mean, I get it where they're trying to go with the whole safety aspect of it. I mean, I don't know too much into the car. Like I would have to do a lot more research, which I have no problem doing. I can research more up on it and get my feedback on a lot of stuff because I'm really big into obviously cars and engines and shit going fast. But I just don't like the car. I was thinking ever since this car came out, it's just people bitched and moaned about it, and I can't really argue against them.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is like, I love aerodynamics, right? Obviously, it's more of like the calculations and the analytics behind it. Multiple things I would change on this car, and the first thing is I would definitely change and put more horsepower on the damn things.
Yes.
Like you said, and as our audience has brought up multiple times, and a lot of our fans basically bring it up, and a lot of fans that watch the sport on a week in and week out basis, why do we not get more horsepower? Instead, we get a softer tire option, which, in my opinion, it's helped. Let's call it as is. It's helped the racing, but if you're giving me a softer tire option because you don't have tire fall off because you don't have enough horsepower on the damn cars, you just don't.
Look how much tire failure we have.
I know. I mean, exactly, because they're not. The tire compound is too hard. But the reason why they have to have this tire compound is because it's the way the car's built.
Yep.
Also, why are we doing one lug nut? Why? 5. Yeah. 5 lug nuts. Please, 5 lug nuts on a car.
Not you know how much I miss hearing that sound on the road?
Oh, yeah. Now it's just like one, yeah. I agree with you on that. I think it's stupid. 5 lug nuts.
Yes.
Also, the aerodynamics on this car, you got to change it. I mean, to have aero blocking as bad as it is and having wake basically and listen, I get it. Kansas is one of the best tracks on the circuit.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw a lot of the wake issues again with this car this past weekend. These drivers were getting you're catching drivers in the track, and then they would get into the wake, and then it would slow the cars down, and basically that's what ended up happening. Yeah. This generational car, and I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it again, for all of our fans that have been watching NASCAR for a long time, this generation car to me is our generation's car of tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's our generation's car of tomorrow. Where the car of tomorrow was basically a kite because all they did was focus on aerodynamics.
Exactly.
This car focused on, I don't even know what the hell they focused on. Oh, cheaper parts probably. That's what it was. And that's the other thing too. Going back to the inspection, Vince brought it up. The inspection. The inspection's a joke because NASCAR's finding teams off of parts that they supplied. The teams have to buy the damn parts off NASCAR. So the supplier is finding you on top of it for a part that they sold you. Listen, you and I love this sport more than anybody. I'm not going to sit there and say this. I'm not going to sit there and say I hate the sport. I'm done with woke car. I will never say that because I will watch every single week because I love it. But as a fan and as a podcaster, and both of us on the show, we have to. If there's inefficiencies, you want to call it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, people just got to accept this car is going to change 100 fucking more times in our lifetime. It just is what it is. You have to. If you love the sport enough, you have to adapt to it. I mean, you can complain and cry about all how I don't like it. I mean, I'm right there with you. I don't. But if we always talk about how people say, like, oh, NASCAR's a dying sport, yada, yada, yada. Well, you keep doing this, it's just not going to shine good light on the sport to begin with. You know what I mean? You got to kind of get what I'm saying there? It's just,
100%.
We have to adapt with it and just deal with it because it's not going to change. They're going to change, and we have to change with them. I mean, it just is what it is. If you love the sport that much.
Well, and that's the whole thing, right? If you're putting out a lazy product, I mean, and I get what NASCAR's saying. Like, NASCAR's always like, well, we need a higher audience, which, by the way, they had really good – their first 12 races of the season, they did a very good job. They did a very, very good job. They did raise their average viewership, and they actually grew within the 18 to 49 age demographic. So they've done a really good job with – even though we just talked about how bad Fox's broadcast is, the viewership was there. I mean, it did raise this year. But on the other hand – you got to grow with that momentum. You can't be like, oh, cool, we got the viewers, and then that's it. We're not going to change anything because the viewers are back. The viewers are checking in on you. This is a good time to be like, okay, so what do we need to do to continue retaining this viewership? And if you're putting out a bad product on the track or a lazy product, it's not bad. Let's just say it's lazy. It's predictable. It's lazy and predictable. If you're putting a lazy, predictable product on the track, they're not going to sit there and want to watch you. So you're going to lose viewership that way. So now that the viewership, when the first quarter ratings came out, after Fox's points-paying races, their viewership has come out. It's on the rise. This is a good year to see. Listen, we got Prime, we got TNT, we got NBC. Let's see if the viewership rises. And then at the end of this year, we got to go, okay, this is what worked, this is what not. Let's go back to the drawing board and make sure we continue the viewership growth. Because the more viewers that we get in this sport, the longer that you and I get to do this awesome podcast. Yep. So. Final one, Jake. Dave ended up checking in on our chat line. He said the car is not good in traffic. Can be an oval car in a pack and be bad in traffic. It doesn't work. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
In traffic, it's not good. No. It's just not. No. It's the dirty air, and we saw.
It just hangs. The car just like if you watch them on like. Look at what's a good example? Look at Talladega. If you're not up front, you're cruising around the back.
Yep.
You ain't going anywhere. You ain't gonna pass anybody.
No.
So it's a good point. I was really.
Well, that's the other thing too. I mean, that's exactly going back to Kyle Larson and closing point from tonight. We go back to Kyle Larson. The last 2 weeks, he got in the dirty air. Texas, he ended up not winning, couldn't prevail the dirty air. This past weekend, ended up prevailing the dirty air. Timing of cautions ended up helping him out. His restart, his ability to restart ended up coming into full display. Ended up catching, the wins and all that type of stuff. So, all right, well, that's going to be it for Kansas this week, Jake. It's going to be it for Kansas, man. Loved all the activity this week on the chat line. Really did. Appreciate everyone tuning in, chiming in, all that type of stuff. North Wilkesboro. We're not doing picks this week, but let me just ask you, is there someone that you like to – I mean, it's an all-star race. It's $1 million.
Dude, I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't really – it's hard to pick somebody. It's really hard.
I know.
And I have a feeling it's going to be I have a feeling it's going to be a race that no one's going to expect. I seriously do. I don't think it's going to be one of these top guys. I really don't. But I could be wrong. I think you're going to see a really, really good race. I mean, you're racing for freaking $1 million.
Yeah.
I just want to see Ricky Stenhouse put Kyle Busch in the wall again, you know? But I think it's going to be a really, really, really good race.
I agree. No picks. I mean, I do believe that Joey Logano probably wins this. It screams Logano.
Yeah.
Chase Elliott was really good on the short track tire that they're going to be running, the same one that they ran at Bowman Gray, same thing they ran at Martinsville. Maybe Chase Elliott. I mean, of course, this will be the damn race that he dominates, and because it's not points.
It ain't worth nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not worth anything. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm in agreement with you.
You know what? I'll throw a dart out there. I'll take Tyler Reddick.
Oh, okay.
I'll throw a dart out there.
You know what?
I'll take Tyler Reddick on this one.
You know what? I'm going to throw a dart myself. I'm not picking any of the top guys. This is a fun week just to goof off with. Give me Alex Bowman.
I would not be upset with that. If it ain't Larson, it's got to be a Hendrick car. So I like that pick.
Give me Bowman this week. I have a weird feeling he's been really good, and he's had some pretty terrible luck. But
yeah.
Last one from our Blown Engine chat line. Dan, he checked in again. Seabell wins this weekend in North Wilkesboro. It's a good one too.
That's a good race.
It's an all-star race. But with all that being said, Jake, awesome show tonight. Appreciate everyone for the love and the support this week. Went on YouTube, went on Facebook. Great time with all of you. Glad that you guys all checked in too. Appreciate the love and obviously the topics of conversation as well. That's it. Fox is done after this weekend.
Yep.
Fox is done. Then we go to Amazon Prime. Thank God. So with all that being said, if you're listening to us and you're going to North Wilkesboro All-Star Race this weekend, enjoy your lovely race weekend down there. Hopefully one year I'll get down to the North Carolina Swain, which I should have done this year, but whatever. But yeah, Jake, it's been fun. Looking forward to doing the show with you long term. And folks, everyone, have a wonderful night. Be safe. And again, follow us on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and YouTube at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. And follow us on Facebook at the Broken Wheel Bearing Podcast. Have a wonderful evening. Stay safe. Stay dry. We'll chat next week. Good night.
Will you tell Mr. Dennett that Ricky Bobby is my best friend? And it's shaking big time.